Hey, this is a small demo, small oil demo. Two colors, just brown and blue, a burnt umber and an ultramarine blue. A simple palette, small little table easel, and just an oil sketch to have fun. I have I have been working, playing around in the sketchbook and the computer on a portrait of Captain Nemo, and there it is, roughly over there to the left. I just printed it out and have it sitting next to the board, and just I'm gonna start mixing some. Well, just mixing a very simple dark neutral um, with the burnt umber and the ultramarine blue, and start to knock in the drawing first. And the proportions of the board that I'm working on, although smaller than the sketch, it's the same as the sketch. So, kind of just trying to see where different objects, uh, the person, there's the breathing tanks in the back, and all this the kinds of landmarks uh, lie in the piece, and trying to figure out just in the block, and it's normal kind of draftsmanship, judging angles, shapes, sizes, proportions, and getting it knocked in. And actually, as you see, as I progress along here, um, I don't get it right. But we're not quite there yet. Simple, just there's many ways to block in an oil painting, but this way right now, since it's very fluid, it's not acrylics, it's not drying right away. We can move it around, we can wipe it out. I just was starting with an outline of the shapes. We'll speed it up here quite a bit, and I like to get everything in terms of the composition. And here you notice I'm starting to wipe it out. That's because I realized I was running out of room. I didn't. He was a little too large. Just a little too large for the scale of the panel. So wipe it out, and not all the way. It's just a little kind of underpainting sketch in the background. Then start to knock it back in. And this time I was knocking it back in with a little bit more of the idea of the darks and lights. So not just line, but some of the values, some of the basic, uh, very contrasty values in a piece. Um, so the dark darks and leaving the light lights alone, of course. Not putting in white paint yet, but just letting the white of the board show through. And they're getting the breathing tanks and stuff put in the background, and just moving along. Once it's knocked in, I'm going to start to scrub in some of the value. As I said, this is a very, very simple monochromatic. Well, I didn't mention it would just stay monochromatic, but it's monochromatic painting uh, sketch. And but here I'm scrubbing in some of the larger areas of the value, taking a little bit of uh, a little bit more care, and not a lot, but just basically the bigger shapes. They're making more of a mid-tone now, a little bit darker, but more of a mid-tone. Uh, and for me to work into both, going towards the dark accents and the lighter mid-tones, and some of the highlights. But highlights would be probably misleading. They're not specular highlights, but more um, just the lighter values in the piece. I will speed it up again. Um, Start to play a little bit here, like in the hair and the beard and some things. Start to play a little bit. We're thinking more about direction of the brushstroke, directions of directions of anatomy, muscle flow, directions of hair. Um, Also, try to think a little bit about what you're doing with your brush. The tip of it and the shape of it and how the paint is loaded up in there. Um, Here I'm moving the paint around with some of the medium, just moving it around, erasing some of it out. I put some more try to wipe out my brush and then clean it on a rag and then put some more medium in it and then move the paint around, creating now a true mid-tone kind of to work into. Um, the other darks, I kind of moved the darks around so they weren't quite as black, but here we're getting a true mid value to start pushing back and forth in. So, I am not using white yet. I'm just letting the board and the dark paint do the work. So it's either thinner dark paint or more or thicker dark paint that's creating different opacities and thus different values. And a lot of the edges, really, I don't think any edge has been considered yet. It's just blocking in values and also a little bit of consideration of directionality of the brush strokes. But well, there's a lot of oil that went down there. Gonna move that around, um, spread it out. That'll take forever to dry. Um, it's just linseed oil, but so I like to try to approach the whole surface of the painting. We spent a little bit of time around the face and the beard and the neck and stuff, but still, before we get too far, start to block in the other big shapes, the big, the different values that are going on, the dark coat, the, the mid-tones of, and some of the values in the background are describing the light and the direction of light. And then again, we'll come back in here and darken the beard in places. So I'm starting to move the values around, or wanting to move the values around in the painting, so that I'm getting a better idea at this sketch stage how the eye is going to move around in the painting, because the values and the contrast in values and the values and the placement of them move the eye around. One of the ways that the eye gets moved around compositionally in painting. There's also edges and color and saturation. There's all kinds. There's directionality of basically lines and objects that create flow as well. But in the beginning, for me, value, shape, and value is the most important. And then we'll start to get in. I'll start to get into edges and stuff here. But I have to warn you, well, not really warn you, but make an apology. This is my first video with my new camera, and I didn't realize that I'm wiping out, by the way, I should jump back in and say I'm wiping out with a bit of t-shirt, and I used to put it around a brush to make it a little bit more defined and try and move the paint around or scrape it out and a little bit more precision. But what I was getting to was that the camera stopped filming after a half an hour. I didn't realize that, and I continued on painting, and you're going to see that here in just a second. Where this painting went to, I started to add white into that mix, and still just a brown and blue, and kept painting into it, thinking more about directions and edges, and it came out pretty good. Ran out of audio there, but I'm happy with it just as a sketch, and I hope you try it out. Thanks.